Hey, what's going on, yo? Y'all ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Say Michael podcast. Welcome. Welcome to the Say Michael podcast. Yes, this is your host, Michael Agbajan. Yeah, this is it's gonna be a good one. This is episode 4. And in this particular episode, I'm gonna introduce you to why I even went into doing stand-up, going into stand-up comedy. And I would encourage you before listening to this, if you're near a blanket or any popping corn, you could go ahead and pause it now. Go get, a warm blanket, go nestle up close to a fire and grab some popping corn. And if you're in the mood, grab some s'mores, because this is going to be a pretty juicy story about how I got into stand up. And yeah, if you're ready to hear that, I'm ready to tell you right now in Dallas, it's raining, so I don't think you can hear any of the drops. But yeah, this is it's an odd day because when it rains all night and the next day, it's pretty much an off day. When you work in car washes, it's pretty much an off day. It gives me a good time to work on the major things that are important. Usually, it's like marketing, making calls, setting up, and preparing, for the spring and summer, which are, our busiest times ever. Usually between March all the way to October, we're completely busy. So, but yeah. So I want to introduce you to the journey of what brought me here, into this world of stand up and podcasting. This whole thing, it started July. Might have been June or July of 2019. And me and my wife were watching Netflix and she falls asleep. So it's just me, up watching Netflix. So I'll pause it and I'll just look for other things on, since it's now my time. And I see Tom Segura. He's a stand-up comedian, and at this time, my favorite stand-ups at this time are like Louis C.K., Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle. I wouldn't say Aziz Ansari. He's cool, but these are the people I've been watching throughout their career. But this person, Tom Segura, I've never heard of this person, but I see that there's a new stand-up. So, it's Tom Segura and Mostly Stories. So then I hit it and I'm watching it and I was inspired. Not because he was so great, but mainly because when I started watching him tell these stories that were, funny, and the crowd and all that, that's the moment. I've been watching comedy for a while, but for some reason, when I saw Tom Segura on stage, that's the moment it all made sense to me. It all made sense that this is something I could do. It never struck me before. I never really thought, I'm going to go down this path of trying to be a stand-up comedian or anything like that. I've always kind of flirted with the thought of it, but I've never went down that road of saying, okay, I want to make this a career. I want to see where this goes. Never even had that type of a thought. This was something that just came out of nowhere. So I'm watching him and he had the crowd captivated. He's telling good, relatable stories and everyone's laughing. I'm laughing. And I finished the whole thing and I was just like, wow, I was just shocked. And after that, I looked up Tom Segura. I saw that he had a podcast. So I listened to his podcast. It was good too. Okay. So I saw, honestly, I didn't really know that there were comedians who were doing podcasts like that. This was the podcasts I would listen to were like Akimbo, which is like educational, or Harvard Business Review, and things like that. But when I saw Tom Segura, do his stand up, mostly stories. After that, I saw that he was doing a podcast, and then that led me to a whole world of like comedians who are taking it to a level I've never seen it before. Because from Tom Segura to Bert Kreischer to Chris D'Elia to Theo Vaughn to Bobby Lee. It was just and what they were doing was like stand up, yes, but then they were focusing more of what their talents in like podcasting and shows and TV, and it was just like I don't know, I didn't know you could have that much freedom when it comes to just talking in front of a crowd. And also, the another thing that kind of inspired me about the whole thing of stand up is that how accountable is that? Because I've always been a risk taker early, but to be as challenged, to have something so challenging as to go on stage, which I think is the scariest thing ever, to go on stage and entertain a group of people, group of strangers. How accountable is that? Because if you don't do good, it's on you. If you do well, it's on you. It just seemed like a gift from God. Of me having that realization at that moment, it's like the moment of maturity. That's what I kind of felt that was. It's like the moment my mind matured to, okay, there's signals of this is me. Because, it is scary getting on stage, and it is scary, talking to strangers and trying to, get them to understand where you're coming from. And, it's just a laundry list of all these reasons why it's probably one of the scariest things to do. But also, I feel like it's one of the most liberating, because if it's all on me, I can't blame nobody else. It's not a team sport. So you get on stage by yourself. It just seemed like that's the thing that's going to be the most challenging thing for me ever. And from that moment, it was almost a month before I actually started to like, I was doing research and figuring out how to make a joke, like I wrote stuff down. Now, mind you, I've if you know me personally, I'll throw out jokes here and there, and I story tell a lot about, crazy, silly things that happen, and sometimes I might be quite the rib tickler, quite the rib tickler. But, going on stage, you can't waste nobody's time. You have to pretty much kind of know what you're going to say. At least this is what my assumption is at this moment. So I'm preparing myself for a stage. I don't know what was going to happen. I just knew that, okay, let me get some things together. I'm organizing it. And I did some research, and I found backdoor comedy, which is the oldest, I guess, stand-up spot in Dallas. So, it seemed like the most popular. It seemed like most of the community knew about this particular place. So then I'm like, all right, I called him. I said, hey, I think I want to go on stage. And she's like, have you done this before? I said, no, I haven't. She's like, okay, well, you can sign you up for our open mic, which is on Thursday. And I said, cool. When can I sign up? You want to sign up like this Thursday? I said, whoa, okay, maybe not this Thursday. Let's do next Thursday. She's okay. I'm gonna sign you up for next Thursday. And from that moment when she, pinned my name, she's like, what's your first and last name? She writing it all down. And then I was like, okay. She's like, all right, see you next week. And at this moment, I'm super scared. I'm like, okay, now it's real. So now this is the end of July that I'm preparing for this. I'm like, okay, it's about to happen, because as soon as I saw this, again, as soon as I saw Tom Segura and the world he opened me up towards to like different stand-ups and, what they were doing and how they're, exercising their skill. And also another thing that was a little bit inspirational about the whole thing is that while I think Tom Segura was good, but there's some people who were great. There's some people who were big and popular and weren't even that good. Sometimes there's nothing more inspirational than somebody who's super popular and super big and not that great. there's nothing more. Sometimes there's nothing more inspirational because if you saw someone who is amazing at what they do, to me that's not that inspirational because I'm like, man, I have no chance. I have no chance in hell to be at that level. But then when you see someone who is up there, and they're all right, then that gives you some hope and say, I could do that. That's kind of how it was. Like, when, seeing all some other people kind of do their thing, they're huge, they're building a name. I'm like, they're all right. Look, I feel like I could do that because I do feel that I have a way of connecting to people in a different way, in a me way, not a, like, oh, people just say, I'm this, I'm that, or I tell a good story. Nothing like that. I'm talking about in a way where I felt I had the skills to go on stage and bring it. So yeah, it goes, so then now we're preparing for the backdoor comedy. So, the days are counting and, it's just like anything else. It kind of reminded me when, my wife told me that she was pregnant with our first son. She's like, when she told me, I was like, oh man, I only have 9 months left, and I knew no matter what I prepare for, it's going to happen in this day that I can't imagine, it's going to get to a point to where he's already won. Like I thought that at the moment that she said, hey, I feel a bit different. And she's telling me about, the whole pregnancy thing, that she may be pregnant. I was like, okay. And from that moment I knew, okay, 9 months from now, as far as that seems, it's going to come like that. And after that, he's already going to, be crying, I'm going to be, having to figure out these, ways of trying to be a dad and all this. And that was scary as hell. I was super scared. But then since I knew it was going to happen, I knew I was going to do it anyway. That's how I feel about things, is that I don't care how scared I am. I'd have to do it anyways. So basically, the days are counting for me to get into, to go on stage at Backdoor. And then the day comes, and that whole day, I can't even think. I'm so scared. You got to imagine, like, it was a scary day. It was a Thursday. And, my wife, I told a few people around me, I never really told people I was going to go that day. I told a few people I was interested in it because, I don't really, things like that, that are crazy, someone, going on stage is crazy. So you telling a few people, hey, I want to go on stage, I want to be a stand-up comedian, they're going to talk you out of it. Or they're going to say things like, oh, are you sure? It's hard, that's how the world operates, right? So I focused on, just, doing it and not really trying to, like find confidence through others to, to make that move. So yeah, it's that Thursday, and I mean, the time is just chipping away. It just seems like it's going to fast forward. It's just, next thing you know, I blink and me and my wife are at Backdoor. I'm paying to get in. I'm at the front. They say, hey, what's your name? Are you going up? I said, yeah, I'm going up. It's okay, cool. You knew? I said, yeah. They put me at the end. So, we walk in, I'm seeing there's this whole community, of, people who go to comedy shows, comedians, they lead me and my wife to a seat, and we go into a seat. I mean, we, go to a table, we're sitting there, right? And I'm seeing comic after comic go up. Mind you, there's like 20, 24, 25 comics going up, at this time. It's about 7:30 is when the show started, about 7:30. And, they introduced, the host, and then the host comes up and starts introducing new comics, and I'm seeing people go up, and they weren't that bad. It wasn't that bad. And at this point, I'm getting nervous because I'm like, oh, my time's going to come. Oh, man, my time's going to come. And that's when, then at that moment, someone tapped me on my shoulder. And when someone tapped me on my shoulder, they're like, hey, is your name Michael Agbajon? I said, yeah. I said, hey, and it's like, hey, you're about to go up. I said, oh man. Ooh, I'm breathing. I'm trying to calm myself, and my hands are, even right now, as I'm telling you, I'm feeling the nervousness of how I felt at that time. And, my hands are just sweating. My heart is just beating out my chest. And, the comic before me was finishing up. And I said, oh, my God, I'm about to go on stage. Jesus Christ. And then the host gets up, says, shakes the person's hand, the previous comic. And then she gets on stage. And when she gets on stage, she starts to tell a few jokes, and then she gets to me. And this is kind of how it went right here. And
comics say,
this is exactly how it went.
on for our next comic, say Michael.
At this time, I went by Say Michael. I usually go up now as Michael Agbajan. But she introduced me as Say Michael. I get up out of my seat, and I'm walking up to the mic, right? Hello, how's everybody doing? I go by Say Michael because no one knows how to say my last name. So corny. It's really simple. It's Agbajan, Michael Agbajan, Aigbedon. But my last name, since I've been a child, has been causing people to have mild forms of schizophrenia. In first grade, first day of school, roll call, teacher tries to say my name. I'm already prepared to say, I'm here, because that's probably the worst thing you want to hear, someone mispronounce your name, first day of school. And she's looking at my name and she says, Michael Algebra? No. Michael Armageddon? Michael Agabubu? And I'm like, here's Agbajan. She's like, Agba what? Agbajan. We're just gonna call you Michael A. So that's exactly how my name has been, trampled throughout my life. But I got good news. I've been making a lot more money lately. If you want to know anybody want to know my secret? I haven't been paying my bills. That's something I do because right there, that's when I knew. That's the moment I knew this was a game changer. This first time on stage, never been on stage, and when I delivered that when I got that first big laugh, you just can't believe it. Like, this is, again. We're just gonna call you Michael A. So that's exactly how my name has been, trampled throughout my life. But I got good news. I've been making a lot more money lately. If you want to know anybody want to know my secret? I haven't been paying my bills. That's something I do because I like to see my bills kind of pile up, and every other month or so I'll throw in like $1 and watch them fight over it, Verizon. That's one of my bills. Insurance and student loans. Those are my bills. But the reason why I pay my bills so last minute is because I like to see my money. I like to see it for as long as possible before someone tries to get it. Because that's why we have to make so much of it, because everyone's out to take it. So I just gotta make sure that I avoid the bill collectors before they find me. But see, now I have two better excuses to find or to avoid these bill collectors. I got a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. And when they call me, the bill collectors, I get on the phone, and that's usually cute for my boys, and they look at each other and say, well, daddy's on the phone, it's time to have a screaming contest. So I let them listen to the screaming, and that's how they call me back later. But again, thank you all, this is my time. Yeah, that was the first time I went on stage, and I could tell you when I got off, wow, I felt like I was on top of the world. Oh, man, the reason I said when I said that moment, I knew is because, something I didn't know was going to happen. And when I got that outcome of what, like, I can't say I had expectations, but I did think I was going to do pretty well. And that first time I felt like I did pretty good. And when I got off, I felt so high, like it the high lasted for like 2 days. It took me to get back down to reality. It took me like 2 days. And the reason why is that I've never been that scared, but I've never felt that good, like ever. Like I never felt that's the thing that changed for me is that I felt something I've never felt before. And that's when I knew, because you got to pay attention to those type of feelings. I felt something I've never in my life experienced. And I don't even know how to explain it. It was the craziest feeling I've ever felt because, mind you, scared to death, didn't want to go on stage, want to find other excuses, and then after I felt so good because it was just me, nobody else. I couldn't blame anybody else, and it was just amazing. And, yeah, it was so great. I went the next day to do stand up again and, at Hyenas. And this is where this is kind of where it humbled me because, I went to Hyenas, which, Hyenas is a different type of spot. Hyenas, they have a few Hyenas comedy clubs in Dallas. And, I went to the one in Plano. And when I went on stage, before I went on stage there were so many great comics going up. Like, I'm talking about amazing. And when I started seeing everyone kind of, go up and, kill it, I said, I need to change up my stuff. So I'm over here trying to make my story better, trying to figure this out and change this and change that. And, I went on stage and I just, it wasn't great. In the middle of it, I just started telling some random story that didn't make no sense, talking about trees. And I was like, what? Oh, man. Got off. And then some guy was like, hey, man, don't let the crowd get you, man. I was like, all right. But, yeah, so, but since then, again, this was in August when I went up, August 2019. I've been going up several times a week, different open mics and, different clubs, just practicing and, and so far it's just been an amazing journey. It's something that, again, I felt that this was, a path that is special for me. I was actually going to tell you also about what I thought being a comic was. That's why I think I'm a little bit different. And what I'm doing is that, I thought by, you have to come up and be something like, do one-liners, do them ching jokes and, or, memorize a script of something that, of some fiction or something like that. And I would try to be something, that I've either seen somewhere or copying somebody in a certain type of trying to do their style and trying to get used to their style, And I learned pretty quickly that just be myself. There's nobody else like me. Try to be myself. Try to be as much as me. Like, get deep in there and try to pull out as much as, because, think about it. I've been going through life doing my thing already. It reminded me a lot of when I started, the car wash right after graduating college. I didn't know this, but people were whispering behind me like, why is he starting a car wash? Why is he starting a mobile car wash? Or why is he doing that? I thought he was going to go to law school and, all these things. And people were kind of like, either, I don't know if it's talking behind my back or just kind of worried about me or, that's just kind of how it goes. And until they started seeing that it started to turn to something is when they started to give the support. Someone even went to my mom one time talking about, did your son go to college for, to wash cars? Something as rude as that. So, that's the type of stuff that happened when you start something that people just don't understand, and I was never used to trying to be something. I just did what I knew, where I knew there was opportunity for myself, and I say focus. People going to hate on you. People going to, you're not going to have all the support until, you start supporting yourself. And I'm always been a person who helped myself, before I worry about anybody else, I help myself. And, but yeah, so I didn't want to, I thought I could I had to be a certain thing within, comedy. And then I realized I could fully be myself. And that's when I, opened up a new chapter in stand up and, exercising my abilities. It's just something that I learned now, that, your unique style is going to take a little bit longer for you to become whatever it is, because people don't understand it at first, but then eventually it all will make sense. It all makes sense. Cause I don't know anybody who tells stories like me. I don't know anybody who, thinks like me. And because of that, I want to keep trying to show and present myself to the world and be the best me I could be, and I want to put it on full display. I asked God to challenge me, and this is the hardest thing I've probably experienced so far, as far as, and I'm used to starting something from scratch and going from new and going without the support, whether people support me or not, I'm still going to keep going. It's not going to stop. I'm looking at this 20, 30, 40 years ahead of my life right now. Same thing I did with the car wash. Like at the beginning, it was hard. People didn't understand it. I didn't really understand it. Just kept working at it, kept chipping away. And then opportunities that I've never anticipated came to me, just because I was diligent and I focused on trying to be the best of what I'm doing, so I know that in this, if I'm putting my best foot forward and holding myself 100% accountable, I'm going to get to that crazy level. I'm going to hit stages cause I have goals. I have large, unimaginable, scary goals, and I know that in order for me to meet those goals, I have to put everything I have in me out there. And there's no better vehicle for that than what I'm doing right now, because I've been doing this most of my life and I don't even know how I do it. When I tell someone a story about this, or, I share a perspective about that, and it's an enjoyable moment, and I touch and connect with people, I want to do that on a big level, so I can't get to the destination and, of my dreams unless I put everything out there. And I remember, so I even recently I shared this video on my Instagram, and it says, "Hey, I want to see me bomb," right? And I wanted to share with everyone that not every night or every time or through this journey is about like the W's, because I don't learn very much from winning. When it's good, I still don't know. Like when it's bad, I know it doesn't work. When I know it works, it doesn't mean that just because it worked there, it's going to work everywhere. When something doesn't work, I know that. But see, I shared that in a way because I don't really feel I bombed. Yeah, the crowd wasn't laughing, right? But I loved it. Whatever I was saying up there, I loved it. It made me laugh. Even when I watch it now and I play it back, every time I play it back, I laugh. And that's it. Eventually I will build a community of people who would understand my humor, who will understand me as a person. And that's when the respect will come, in what I'm doing in stand up. A lot of people, whether you're listening or not, you're not going to understand what I'm doing now. Give it some time, let the dust settle, give it some time, and eventually you'll see what I'm talking about. That when you work hard in something and you're not worried about what people think and you're just focused on being the best you possible, opportunities will hit you out of nowhere, left and right. Like so many opportunities, you have to find the new ability of how to say no, because it's too many things that you can't handle. There's a few people who go through that all the time, and that's what success is, So, you have to really believe in yourself. I remember I went to a customer. I was telling her that I was doing stand up. I told her I was good. This is actually before I was gonna do stand up. I told her I was gonna do stand up, but then I saw her again recently, and she was like, I told her like how I'm doing stand up and the podcast or whatever, and then she asked me following that, she's like, "Huh, what does your wife think?" She said that with like a downwards tone, right? So I was like, well, actually, she was the one who filmed me. she's completely behind it, and she was shocked. She's like, oh, what? She's wow. And that's exactly the example I'm talking about with people who just don't believe in what you're doing like that. I don't know if it's human nature. I don't know if it's just natural hating or anything like that. But yeah, she said it, like, what does your wife think of what you're doing? As if my wife should be disgusted with my decisions. My wife was there before I started the Water Boys, and she saw it grow. She saw it go up and down, but she saw the success of it. And, from the beginning to even now, so, even with the barber school, where we're, that's building great too. I don't really feel, I don't need anybody's validation of whether I'm doing good or not. I appreciate it, but the validation isn't required for me to keep going, but yeah, she was like, yeah, so what did your wife think? And, I'm like, yeah, she recorded, and she's like, oh, wow, and she was surprised. And I just know that's how people think, but yeah, if you want to know what's next, for me, what's next for me is going on bigger and bigger stages, and conquering larger, the largest stage possible. I have places in mind, but I have shows that I want to, curate for people, special shows and special events. And I just want to get better at the craft. I'm in no rush, so I'm not rushing to try to get somewhere. I'm enjoying the ride. This is the most present I've ever felt. 2019 was the best year ever. The best year ever for me, because I found so much growth in just focusing on myself. I took a hiatus from like Instagram and not, trying to put so much into trying to impress others and just focusing on myself. And I saw immense growth. 2019 showed me, when you bet on yourself, you always win, because like in 2000, no, but man, it was hard. Like I tell you, anybody who's starting a business, there's nothing harder than business. I have 2 boys, 4 and 3, still nothing harder. Business is so hard. It's so hard. And just because you go through this, there's a quote that I used to say where I'm physically here, but mentally there, because I never felt present. I felt that I'm here, but I'm always thinking in the future, what's the next fire? What's going to happen? And, living in insecurity of just like, man, are these things going to work out? And just wasn't present when I was 28. It was just so hard, and, I started trying to figure out changes to make. And every time I tried something new, didn't work. Tried another thing, didn't work, it was, so that was 28. And then you go back to last year, 2019, and I've never felt the best. Again, I've never felt this before. So free, I don't care about anybody's opinion. I just focused on me and my family and, growth, so yeah, 2019, it's going to be the year of, 2019 was the year where I found the most growth. In 2020 and going forward is, I'm gonna follow my heart, and trust my gut, because that's all you need, and I look forward to also working really hard, because I feel like that's what it's gonna take for me to get somewhere or to get where I'm trying to go. And I think the most special part about the path I'm taking is that when you take a path that no one goes on, yeah, it's challenging, because people are going to look at you and say, why are you going that way? But once you get to your destination, you'll be the first person to plant your flag there. And then people will come behind you and start planting their flag and all that. But they know you got there first. That was your path. No one could duplicate your path. It's your path. So that's all I'm focused on going forward, so I hope, like, look, if anything I've said in this episode, which I think this is a special one because this, again, people have asked, they want to know a little bit more about the comedy, what I'm doing, how's it going. And I appreciate all the love. I do, because it's going well. I love it. If you have any extra encouraging words, throw them my way. Some love, throw them my way. If you have questions, even concerns, you could throw them my way. I'm always open ears. But I'm, again, excited about what this year has to present. It's a strong 2020 so far. I'm enjoying every moment. Again, like I told you, this is the time I've been most present, all through my entire life. I'm at the happiest. My family's good. I'm good. I'm healthy. I'm eating good. I mean, this is, look, this is, look, I'll keep trying to end it, but there's things I'm thinking about. It's like, I've never felt, this has to be success. That's why I know, like, it doesn't matter what I do now, because I've already been fully successful. Everything that I've ever imagined, I've already achieved, So everything I'm doing now is just extra. It's all extra. It's not required, because I'm super duper happy right now and have been for a while, of the growth I've seen around me, with me and my family and my wife, my children, just seeing every moment of the growth and being super present and not rushing, to trying to change anything or feeling insecure or comparing us or anything like that. This is just the right place for me. And, I'm looking forward to continuing this new consciousness going forward and seeing where that brings me. Again, following my heart and trusting my gut is what I'm focusing on going forward. I do appreciate you joining me for this episode. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you took something away from it. And I must ask, if you did take anything, if I've done anything for you ever in the past, or if I did anything for you today, if you're a new listener or anything like that, tell somebody about this podcast. Tell someone about how it helped you, and, maybe you could pay it forward and help them. But your support is always much appreciated. I love it. Also, your constructive criticism, whatever it is that you think would help me become a better person, throw it my way. And I'm always open-minded. I have open ears for anybody who, feels free to share what's on their mind and what's on their heart. I always make time for, a genuine conversation and, the ability to connect with somebody on another level. So I appreciate you for joining me again, and see you later. Love you. And as a last note, you're either successful or you're scared. You can't be both.